Our special meeting of City Council to order for Monday, March 14th. Welcome. And the first item of business today under our delegations 2.1, we have Barry Raynard, Special Projects Manager for the City of Dawson Creek, Brian McIver, General Manager for the Encana Event Center, and Dave Hamilton, World Under-17 Co-Chair, in attendance regarding the U17 final report. This is a meeting that will get the final overview and report and analysis and information regarding the U17 World Men's Hockey Challenge that we co-hosted on November 4th through the 8th, I think, in that time frame, 2015, and a significant undertaking by our communities, and so it's a real pleasure to be able to get the final reports today in terms of understanding the impact of this event for our community and region. And so I want to thank the guys for coming this morning, and I'll turn the delegation over to you guys.
Great. Okay.
I'll stand here and be the screen.
That's why you wore the white shirt?
Okay, as Ryan is loading up the presentation, Your Worship and Council, thank you for the opportunity to bring forward the report. Today we'll be working in partnership with Fort St. John. Fort St. John rolls out their report this evening at their council meeting. And also today, recently we just passed out to you, Hockey Canada did their news release this morning. Timing for us was released at 11 or 12 this morning, so for us it's hot off the press for council as additional information. So we'll start off by, I wanted to remind council of the rules back in June. It just seemed like yesterday that I think Councillor Rogers was asking us some of the staff time, which we didn't really log, but I reassured him that it was basically myself as a staff member that was reassigned, and staff within our department took over a lot of my duties. The majority of our other city staff put in volunteer time, other than Janet, who we're going to talk about, and her binders. But it was a very learning experience. I worked 155 days, I think I counted, by the time we were started and finished. I spent 150 of them with my individual to the right. So I can tell you that we're still on separation and divorce side of that, but extremely talented group of people. As well, Dave Hamilton is with us today, co-chaired with Mr. Powell. Dick Powell, most in this room would know Dick from his volunteer and his legacy that he's left working in partnership with other people around this room, Northern BC Winter Games, and Mr. Powell did a great job in leading us and our volunteers through that process. I want to bring us back to a news release that was October 8th to give just the summary. In 2015, the World Under-17 Challenge brings together the top players in the world born in 1999 or later. 3 Canadian teams were joined by Czech Republic, Finland, Russia, Sweden, and the United States, forming 2 groups of 4 teams. All 8 teams will qualify for the quarterfinals, with the winners advancing to semifinals, losers facing off in placement games. The 22-game tournament will officially kick off November 1st at the Encana Event Center in Dawson Creek, with Canada Black taking on Canada White, while Canada Red opens its tournament against Finland at the North Peace Arena in Fort St. John. The event, since the first World Under-17 Challenge, then known as the SO Cup, Quebec SO Cup, in 1986, more than 1,500 NHL draft picks have played in this tournament, including 12 of the last 15 overall selections. And those Edmonton Oilers fans would recognize Connor McDavid's name now that his rookie season is almost completed, of the caliber of level that we've played. We want to start off with a video to give you a highlight that was put together pre to the final goal game. And Lindsay's not too far away if Mr. McIver can't pull this off. But this was a video that played pre-game and gives an overcap of both Fort St. John and Dawson's involvement.
part of the country, and just terrific people, great hockey fans, of course, but where you live here, you've got to be a fan of activity in general, and it's certainly not left on the folks here.
Community, the city, it isn't a piece of paper in somebody's desk drawer. It's about people. And so for me, when the opportunity came to us from Hockey Canada to say, can you guys do this? My first words are in a heartbeat, because we have the people who have done this in the past. And so for me, it's about get out of the road and let them do their thing.
We have a remarkable volunteer base in this community. We've hosted some Northern BC Winter Games. We hosted the Allen Cup. We've hosted events throughout the years that have shown the value of our volunteers. They are the heartbeat of our community, and for them to be able to pull this off in the time frame that they've had has been simply remarkable. And we're looking forward to doing some more.
We always want to believe Dawson Creek's the right community to everything. So hosting a sporting event historically, and we've had some great success in the past with the national women's team and the 2012 U18s women's, and it's just something that we feel in our blood. We love to do, and it's a great piece sort of hospitality we love to exuberate out to everybody.
The enthusiasm around town is just incredible. People you talk to on the street, you can tell that their enthusiasm is quite infectious, and it gets people rejuvenated and happy about the game again, which is a great thing.
It's really easy to get to the big NHL rinks, into the big centers. That's the sort of the slam dunk stuff. But for me, in my role, I feel it's incumbent on me to get into cities and communities and towns like this, quite honestly, where you can reach out and touch people, and hope they get an appreciation that for believing in what we're trying to do.
This is what I really want to do with the juniors and minor hockey development is what we're really working on. So it's very important, and I think it's important that we show the communities that we are interested by coming and attending and being visible.
While the profile of an event like the World Under 17 Challenge is at a level where everybody in the community comes together, they're watching the games, ultimately we can build so much around the event that allows us to message what happens in grassroots hockey and what are the things that are important in grassroots hockey. So we take advantage of the fact that the event is quite high profile and allows us to do so many other things attached to it.
Well, anytime you have guys like Tom Rennie, Joe Drago, Randy Henderson, Paul Carson come up and deliver development initiation program seminars, those are huge benefits. That stuff lasts for a long time in the community. They'll be talking about it for a long, long time.
I want them to take that away when they leave our community to say, you know what, that was a great experience.
We are a winter city, and so the opportunity to get excited about winter activities is important to the community to create that quality of life.
Funds that are generated from this event are going to be distributed to those organizations that really stepped up and are organized as volunteers.
Had a great recipe, and in this case we got to work with our neighbors, Fort St. John, and it's been a great relationship to deliver into communities some of the best hockey in the world we'll ever see.
Okay, want to start with a little bit of executive summary as we let in the overall, some of the recipes that we used were highlighted from our ability to host the women's national team back in 2009 pre-Olympic, as well as 2012 when we hosted the U18 national championships. You can turn to the next slide there, right? I highlighted, I think did council receive the full report yet? we didn't send, so council will receive a final report, or did receive a final, oh, you did receive.
We got
Take a little time to look at the executive summary. We've highlighted what we believe is some of the critical parts. We have to report back through Hockey Canada on those challenges that were both exceptional and some of the things we believe that those behind us will follow, and for us to learn as a group if we ever were to host another event in our city. But I've used this term before, bake the cake. Those things around accommodations, transportation, venue, and food are four of the key ingredients to put together. Lindsay said I'd be amiss if I didn't say all the sprinkles that everyone else puts together, the volunteerism, to our host committees, to our people that just found ways to sharpen skates, fix equipment, take care of sick athletes. Certainly the cake was baked, and we met and exceeded all those expectations. Certainly you can't do these opportunities without vision of council. I want to thank both councils from Fort St. John and Dawson Creek. Without that support, we went out on a bit of a limb. This was a bit of a unique opportunity. As we said, the original host committee was unable to meet the contractual agreements, and we picked this up with 5 months to go. Generally, these are a 2-year awarded program. So council's belief for us to move forward, I did have a chance to look at those minutes again, and I think we met and exceeded all of those questions or concerns. Because if you remember from the start, the risk that was alleviated from the original budget was that the worst case scenarios, council would have had to pay $12,500, where most of that 100% risk is usually back to the committees. Hockey Canada worked in partnership with us on that, and also opened the doors for the revenue side if we were able to generate, that everything other than $25,000 got to stay in our community. I can't say enough about the organizing committees. Wally did a great job in Fort St. John in pulling together a very key crew. But I think here, what we did find was that we did more shoulder tapping, as we call it. We have a lot of strong volunteers in our community that, whether they're involved in a provincial curling championship or delivery of BC Winter Games, we called it shoulder tapping, and most of the volunteers that we went back to were people that were our directors from 2012. The working relationship that we've established with Hockey Canada, and I cannot say enough about the city staff in regards to what they did, and I specifically want to, as we get into the financials, when you look at a front page and covering sheet that tells you the overall expenses and revenues, but when it's 3 binders thick, the transparency and the accountability that Janet Loisel did for us, dropped those binders off in Fort St. John, and there were no questions asked. Financially, it was very clear and transparent, and everything that they asked us from the financial side were completed. Tremendous experience in leadership. People like Dave from minor hockey, we engaged minor hockey right out from the start, but the leadership internally, I believe, the next point of the marketing plan, the ticketing strategy and operation experience of Ryan and his staff was priceless. Some of the work that Brent did and Martina did for us, there was no way in 5 months' time that we could have produced what we did. And I believe their experience and what they brought to the table was priceless. We just can't bring those events without having a ticketing marketing strategy in place. And I hope Brian will allude to that in some of the work that he's going to talk about the Encana report. Budgets to actuals. From the original budget that we brought, part of that changed. And I would like to think that Shelley could support me in the sense that budgets sometimes are flexible. But as revenues were created, we had to service sponsorship more. So as certain revenues went up, expenditures kind of went up. We also found that we had some additional expenditures that we tried to work within and partner with Hockey Canada. My original thought was that they could get all teams and equipment into Grand Prairie and Fort St. John, but 3 teams had to be moved out of Edmonton. So there were little challenges that way, but we had some strong sponsorship that helped offset those costs. So strong municipal, regional, and provincial support. We exceeded our corporate sponsorship and our ticket revenues, and those were the 2 keys. We felt going in that although the economy hadn't shifted yet, there were signs of those, and we had to work very hard. But guys like Aaron Powell and Lindsay and Megan from our side had a true package, and how they went out to sell the package, I believe most corporate sponsorships were exceeded in response to how they felt they were treated. We spent $722,000 locally from our working committee directly into accommodations, facility rentals, team meals, officials, and transportation. So $750,000 of our budget went directly back into hotels, food, and local busing, our regional busing. And one of the biggest partnerships that we formed early, in our early budgets, we had a small amount in revenues for 50-50. We turned those both over to the Fort St. John and Dawson Creek Minor Hockey Associations, and the reality of that was the harder they worked, the more they made. And over $50,000 in 50-50 money was generated back to those two groups. The transparency and efficiency is there. If council has any questions or wants to meet with us later about additional financial accountability, I'd open those books. But Hockey Canada twice now has said that the transparency or Janet's templates are second to none. And now we're getting requests from other bidding groups on how the templates work and how we could effectively share some of that knowledge. I think one of the key things that we, in our executive summary, it's what we really saw was that community spirit and pride. And I'll come back to that when we talk about legacy of soft legacy. I've had the pleasure of working 6 of these in both Kenora and here, and 3 that I've delivered. I've got a great little story to tell about Tyre and Kevin's family on legacy. They were only 9 and 11, and to see some of that community spirit and pride, Kevin was one of those ones that volunteered early and has been with me right since I asked them to move out of their homes in '99 for the Olympic team to move in. So we're going to tell a little bit of a story around that as well. So there's a lot more in that side. I want to move into, don't turn yet, Ryan, but want to talk about the economic impact. We had a total of 1,726 parties that were approached during the event, and that is outstanding. The original numbers, I believe, are working with Austin and tourism on our side, and Ryan, the group in Fort St. John was the
Urban Systems.
Urban Systems came forward. The goal was to get 650. We had 1,726 parties approached. 823 were filled out in Dawson Creek and 903. So 1,440 valid surveys, and Ryan probably is the one that understands the intricacies of most of the finer details of how those are calculated. But I just wanted to briefly summarize that the spending of the spectators at the event, in combination with the expenditures made by the event organizers in producing this year's Hockey Challenge, reached $2.7 million, generating an net economic activity of GDP of $2.9 million in the province of BC, of which $1.2 million occurred in Dawson Creek and $517,000 in Fort St. John. These expenditures supported $1.8 million in wages and salaries in the province as a whole, and an estimated 38 jobs, which 19 jobs and $762,000 wages and salaries were in Dawson Creek, along with 7 jobs and $307,000 wages and salaries in Fort St. John. The combined economic activity, including industry output generated by the event, was $5.9 million in the province, with $2.7 million occurring in Dawson Creek and $1.2 million in Fort St. John. To note, in the $2.7 million, that included our capital infrastructure, was also included in those. Hockey Canada wanted to know if there was any large investments of councillors, municipalities in regards to that. So those numbers are partial of why those numbers pushed higher. Considerable tax revenues were also produced by the World Under-17 Challenge, totaling $1.1 million. And the event supported federal government tax revenues of $516,000, and an additional $413,000 in taxes accruing to the province of BC. Moreover, 173,000 municipal taxes were supported in BC municipalities, with 77,000 in tax base in Dawson Creek and 38,000 in Fort St. John. Ryan, if you could put up the slide then, please.
Hey Barry, can I ask a question?
Sure.
How do they figure out municipal taxes? Because we don't have, as a municipality, I don't think we have any taxes like hotel rooms or anything like that.
That would be your property taxes as it rolls through for the year.
Through property tax?
Yeah, it'll calculate through it how much that would help offset or generate in terms of taxation back to you.
Okay.
Okay, so the slide, the key numbers that we look at, the industry output, 5.9 million total BC, 2.7 Dawson Creek, and then Fort St. John, 1.26. The economic impact, or the STEAM report, has been provided to council. We're highlighting the main economic impacts to that, and again, if there's questions or things that we'd like to follow up with, please ask at the end of the or during a break as we go forward. Okay, so as we lead into that, we collected a bunch of stats, and Ryan, next video, as we just lead into this, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. Stats and facts were critical in regards to some key numbers. So Ryan, away you go.
So there's lots and lots of data. This is the data that I'm going to show with you is just a combination between the Encana Event Center and Hockey Canada in terms of our abilities to track and etc. So overall attendance, this is the physical number of people that went to the game. So it was 30,987. Over the 3 TSN games, there were 103,000 people watched the games. And there's a variety of different things and reasons why it's 103 or more or less or whatever. And we have all the backup in terms of when the CFL games were on, etc., and other competing sports events. In terms of video views, this is a combination between videos that were viewed on the Encana Event Center website as well as on the Hockey Canada website in terms of the streaming of the hockey games itself. And you can see the website page views in terms of the number of hits and page views that both Hockey Canada received and the Encana Event Center received. Other, right, Twitter and Facebook, right? So amount of links from Twitter through 56,000, a number of retweets and mentions extremely high, as well as the number of Facebook impressions and then unique users. So a tremendously high number of people and visitation and eyes on the event, but also on the community of the event as a whole, representing both Dawson Creek and Fort St. John, but also the Encana Event Center and Dawson Creek. What do you want to say?
Just as Ryan will lead into the Encana Events discussion, there were many activities during that We'll Talk in Soft Legacy. This was, if we remember, how Legacy can be spun and worked with is that Sheldon and minor hockey receiving of the $25,000 from Craft Hockeyville had the opportunity to highlight that, and Craft Hockeyville was very excited to be in front and center during the event to award that. And Sheldon, on behalf of minor hockey back through you, it was a great opportunity to get that done. We also had track dedication, and I also believe CNRL was part of another huge check presentation on behalf of the arena.
So for the Encana Event Center, this isn't all-inclusive, but it really tracks a lot of the items of our involvement. And when I say our involvement, it really is not just myself as a general manager, but my entire team, from the marketing, ticketing staff, from food and beverage, all the way down to the guest services and the housekeeping staff and everyone in between. But our involvement was really right from the beginning, which was on the organizing committee, the host committee, and just in the background, just in providing and assisting and developing the business plan for the event. So as the information came forward through to you, but also to the meetings, the numerous meetings relating to all the budget development and the plans, etc. I think it's important as part of it is that the Spectra venue management provided a $10,000 investment towards the event, as well as many other different opportunities that we ensured that across the spectrum of our venues that we manage across Canada, ensuring that through the connection to the marketing departments to ensure that the players that were playing in all those different venues and the teams across Canada that were coming to this event, of us reaching out to those venues and those marketing teams to ensure that we were spreading that message and generating that excitement and buzz. Ticketing was a massive animal for this event, not just necessarily for Dawson Creek, but the reality of going up and developing the ticketing plan, the ticketing prices, the packages, the rollout, etc. But further to that, of going up to Fort St. John, manifesting their arena, ensuring that we have the ability to physically sell tickets in their arena, to scan tickets, and the whole infrastructure around ticketing. What's really important is that it's never really been done there before in such a manner, and now that the infrastructure has sort of in place and we have the ability to do it, we have any time we can go back up to Fort St. John and ticket any of the events if anyone wanted us to do at the North Peace Arena. So there's some longer lasting legacy that may come through that. As part of that ticketing and that exposure, it really showed to some of the people in Fort St. John our ability to ticket and do it in such a manner that we've actually generated more business from that in Fort St. John, as an example, working with Canola Fest and doing their ticketing at Peace Island Park. It's important to know that our food and beverage department and their staff, but also the connections that we provide through the food servicing sides across North America, the ability for us to develop the meal plans for Hockey Canada relating to the teams that were in Dawson Creek and Fort St. John, being cognizant of the ethnic choices and opportunities for them, but also we delivered the meals for all the athletes in Dawson Creek in the building. Of importance, we had, I think I'm wrong, but I believe we had 4 executive chefs that came up and helped our executives, so we had 5 executive chefs working through day and night for 17 days to ensure that breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and the games, etc., were delivered at an extremely high caliber level. Our process and involvement with the dressing room addition, as put forward by you in your capital investment, and our involvement with that. The other aspect that's not listed here that I do want to talk about is that that infrastructure investment really opens up further opportunities for us in this community to host more, I'm going to call it higher caliber or different caliber size of events with Hockey Canada. So by having that additional dressing rooms and that space provides much more opportunity for us to go after different events with Hockey Canada, but also other events, and also we are currently using that space right now within our current event infrastructure as a catering space and other dressing rooms for artists. It's also important to talk about, as Barry alluded to, was marketing. Brent and Martina and Sherry and really everyone else that helped and assisted spreading that grassroots, that word of mouth, was really amazing in terms of the ability to take the brand, take the imaging, and spin it from coffee cup sleeves to coasters to door wraps and everything in between. And I believe that the marketing and the event and the ticketing plan all sort of coalesce together to provide that opportunity to see the success that we've had within the attendance levels within the event. Obviously, our involvement with pre-tournament and the tournament itself, of actually just being the host venue and actually doing the event over and above everything else, was phenomenal. And then just our involvement from post-event of wrapping it all up and ensuring that everything gets back to normal. You can see some of the stats there. Over 14,500 mini donuts were served. 5,300 meals were served in 11 days, 880 pounds of pasta, 900 liters of chocolate milk. That works out to 5.5 bathtubs full of chocolate milk if anyone's interested. 14 events in 17 days. So pretty remarkable in terms of the level of turnaround and how the venue gets really worked and utilized in terms of the event center. Overall, I would say that as in the report that was provided to you, it really was a watershed moment, not just for the event center, but really for the two cities. That nothing about this event is normal. The time frame to put it on, the business planning, and everything that goes into it, and that the institutional knowledge that exists within the staffing and the volunteers to make the event happen is a huge success. As part of the report, the net event revenue of the event as it relates to the Encana Event Center is $159,000 to the bottom line, which is a good news story. And then attached to that document as well is sort of a very high level summary of where were the people coming from, where were those ticket purchasers. So 87% of all the people came from BC, 7% from Alberta, 6% other, and then it breaks down sort of the communities within that as well. So we did see a very large distribution, attendance from Dawson Creek and Fort St. John, but you see a higher level distribution from Alberta and that uptake as well. And I can get much more specific details and breakdown if you would like to see how many per city, etc. And I can provide that to you if you'd like that. Overall, it's just a remarkable event. As Barry said, 155 days of spending time with Barry is an interesting experience and opportunity, but it was definitely, as I said earlier, a watershed moment for the community and for the venue.
Okay, next slide, please, Ryan. When we went looking for a slide that could describe Soft Legacy, nothing could come up anything clear for me than the Henderson family. And Tyra, I apologize, I didn't use the one of you welcoming the Olympian team into your home. But both Rachel and Hudson, I believe, were 9 and 11 at the time. And if I've got this right, Tyra, from left to right is our 4 Olympians, Brianne Jenner, Charlie Labonte, Delaney Collins, and Megan Mickelson. And I believe Delaney was the only one that didn't play because she was concussed, Tyra. If we remember, Soft Legacy goes back to Council's vision back in early 2008, when Council allowed us to start to search and to reach out to Hockey Canada in regards to investment of money, bringing in Olympians into our community, and really taking a long shot at bringing in the Olympic program prior to the Vancouver Olympics 2010. To have people move out of their homes, to see the legacy and growth of that over the years, that story is still told across the world. No other community has ever been able to pull that off and actually asking people to move out and allowing Olympians to move in. And we got a lot of mileage out of that. I remember people phoning from all over Canada that I knew through the programs, saying, "How did you guys do that?" And if you go back to the Aquila film, it was viewed 80 times prior to the Olympics, and we felt at that time the marketing value to that was $250,000 in marketing, 6 minutes of a high-profile video that was really highlighting USA versus Canada at the time. Why this is pretty critical, and when I go into Soft Legacy, is that Hudson, I believe, became our junior host with Kevin when the 2012 Women's Worlds were here. And Kevin is very proud of the fact that he has a winning record. He hasn't lost yet as a host, so he won with allowing the Olympians in, win gold. He was the host for the 2012, was it Ontario Blue or Blue, Kevin? Blue. And then Kevin also hosted this year's winning Canada White team with Hudson. I believe Rachel started playing hockey after that. So influential when you look at those impacts of how one sporting event grows out. And I know that Dave, we talked about a lot of different, and Dave will talk a little bit about that in Legacy, around hard legacy. But I believe this year was our 4th Olympian Jamboree out of our 2012 legacy money. And we also expanded that. Dave, if you could quickly tell the brief story about the senior team.
Sure. Well, yeah, I'd like just to touch on the Soft Legacy, just because I've witnessed it firsthand with the Olympians that the city has gone out and recruited and brought in for the 4 Jamborees with Haley Wickenheiser, Sherry Piper, Samuel Smalls, and Becky Keller. Came in at the beginning of the season last year and kicks off the hockey season with these female Jamborees. Bringing it back, and that's grown female hockey, not only in Dawson Creek, but the whole region. I'll take it back to 2009, just looking at the picture, and another Soft Legacy story where the homes were opened up to the athletes. One of the 2 or 3 of the athletes were in the Capel household. Kayla Capel, young hockey player at the time. So she had a lot of interaction with those athletes, still does to this day. Kayla's taken her show down to the Okanagan and is furthering her education, her hockey career. And just so happens, and coincidentally, she's coming back on this year's spring break, and she'll be our lead instructor for our KFC Old Post Female Jamboree, which is pretty incredible for her to give back to the community, and she's very excited about coming back and helping us out with that. As to date, we've got 50 girls signed up for a jamboree next weekend. So it's just a another nice soft legacy story for everyone.
Okay, I wanted to show some of the soft legacy that was created out of our 2017, and again, I can tell you this only scratches part of the surface, but it ends with our great community spirit and pride. But when you, we had individuals, as the president CEO of Hockey Canada, the chair of the IHHF Hockey Development, Paul Carson, Tom Rennie, Joe Drago is the current chair. And if many met Joe, he's a great spokesperson for the game, and I believe some of our families tried to invite him personally into the home for supper one day. As well as the high performance opportunities that we had. We went into both communities in Fort St. John and Dawson. Those individuals spent a whole day talking about hockey and community. And I think we're seeing some great legacy off that already, and with our minor hockey partnerships that we've created. And the influential opportunity for them to speak as these guys do carry a lot of weight in the sporting world, whether it's hockey, figure skating, it could be speed skating, any of the sports. People were invited and had the opportunity to come listen to them talk. Our junior host program was outstanding, and I think one of our own staff as well, their son participated with Team USA, and they still send letters, and they've been invited into the States and to be part of their programs. You can't measure that on the impacts of those young kids, but the one that I thought was probably the coolest was when I was out watching, and it was Kevin's team again, and I'm watching their goalie going, wow, what's with this goalie? He's getting beat left and right and center, and I'm watching. I finally go over to Kevin and says, like, what's wrong with your goalie? And he says, well, that's not a U17 goalie, that's my midget goalie. They had an injury to their second goalie, and they went and dug inside of our community and pulled up a recreational midget hockey player. And I can tell you, in 2 years, when some of those shooters are drafted into the NHL, he'll be standing there saying, yeah, I stopped that guy, I stopped that guy. And we also had one up in, one of our doctor's sons got the experience the same in Fort St. John, a goalie went down. So those are things that those kids will talk about forever. We did the referee Live the Dream program, where the referees went right in, full day experience right from start of game to end of game. Got to be in those dressing rooms, got to skate with them at pre-warm up, and got to meet with them after. We had a number of on-ice activities and events. I want to thank the figure skating group for really helping us out, and people like Shay Lee and our recreation staff. Those on-ice activation and events were very well timed, but to see our little minor hockey kids out there and the on-ice activities, again, a lot of people were engaged in the community and had a lot of fun. An example of sponsorship engagement, our Royal Bank was very active. Their RBC is a huge contributor to Hockey Canada in general, but I believe it was Devereux School that did the Learn to Play program this year, and they had an opportunity to all come to the rink and share in that dream and the check presentation back to the school, and it really helped from our corporate sponsorship to engage them as much as we could in both on-ice activities and off-ice activities. I think if you remember the deckling that was done in both the Canadian Tire Store and Boston Pizza, I believe the wraps just came down several weeks ago from Boston Pizza. So we have a lot of engagement. Our local people were well involved. Chris from Boston Pizza supplied our volunteers every day free pizza for lunch and supper. Just shows you the spirit of what we have in our community. We highlighted the Fort St. John Gymnastics Club. One of the worst fears we had was we almost lost the event in Fort St. John with the fire. Although it didn't impact the hockey to any degree, of any major degree, the Gymnastics Club totally lost everything. So we were able to get some Hockey Canada jerseys, a Duncan Keith jersey that I believe sold for a significant amount of money. Then we also were able to give them some additional stuff from the tournament that they were able to raffle off and get out for some fundraising. So don't want to lose sight of things like that was done. One of the things that's very critical and I think is so beneficial is that Hockey Canada puts on a national event training center where they bring all of the events into Calgary, and And our top 3 individuals were sent away. Mr. Powell led that crew. But volunteer development and engagement is critical. And any of our, again, as I had said, any of the community drive that we had, if we don't have the volunteers, we don't pull this off. We really don't. And to see the level of commitment and people we have in our community, I've witnessed this in the 8 years we've been here. If anything goes from a family crisis to stepping to the plate, we're second to none. So that community events and hospitality side, I don't need to go into too many different examples, but everybody that wanted to be part of it could be. And you know, when you see in the end a team being, you know, whether they're brought into a school to do a little talk, or they're down at the curling club learning how to curl, or they're brought into our community by a host individual family to take them an experience they'll never get for their lifetime. I would say that some Czechoslovakian kids will have stories that will grow for years and years and years. And it's very good. Some of those kids had never seen steak that big. So we thank that community individual totally. There were also within our community, all of the food that was left at the end went back into community, was all packed up back up, and 2 examples of that was the Nowkin Friendship Center and the Frank Ross breakfast program received as much food as they could take to be turned back through the community. And I think, you know, when you look at Soft Legacy, there's nothing better in a live broadcast game that you get what I believe is just great community awareness, our steam, and I can't say enough about community spirit and pride. So we wanted to talk about legacy and Soft Legacy. That really is going to lead into Dave and Richard's last announcement, and I want to, before Ryan flips that slide, I want to thank the people, I think they're in the back, that are here. I think are going to be very pumped about Dave's announcements.
Oh.
I'm like Babcock, I get excited about my community, so sorry about that. Dave?
This is the good stuff. So this is the hard legacy money. Just shy of $80,000 is in that hard legacy fund. I'm going to start with Dawson Creek Minor Hockey at $33,500. Generated through the 50-50, and that'll go towards a 5-year strat plan for development of hockey at the grassroots level, refereeing clinics, high performance and coaching clinics, and with the purchase of cross ice boards, which will be used for learn to play and initiation hockey for all the younger kids. 16,000 will go to sport development initiative, and that will be some criteria that the steering committee and our committee is working on. Right now it'll be available to ice users and winter sports group to apply. I can let you know that it's not going to be a whole bunch of bricks and mortar stuff. It'll be hockey development, youth programs that the money should be used for. But again, those details will be ironed out. $7,500 goes to the Peace Regional District. 2.5 goes to Saddle Hills County. Came up with the sponsorships right away. That money will be going to the youth sports in those counties and districts. $5,000 will be going to the professional motivational speaker Ryan Walters, who's an ex-NHL player. He's involved with youth sports and a commentator in the NHL. $2,000, the City of Dawson Creek event promo video, and that's stemming from our 3 past major events. $5,000 to the Mile Zero Figure Skating Club. 2.5 to the ARC. $2,500 to the Dawson Creek Hospital Foundation, and 2.5 to Step Up and Run. That's for community recognition. Turn it back over to Barry.
Okay, we just before Ryan hits that too far, the legacy side, the driving force behind legacy. When we did this, we made the commitment to council that we felt that we could do a break even. The surplus that we had over the expenditures was $198,683. Some additional money went into Fort St. John. The difference of some of that additional money, the split was 50-50, but we gave over the beverage sales to the Fort St. John senior team because they did all the volunteer work for that. So they received $20,000 there. So of the $198,000, we had staying, as Dave said, just over $80,000 directly into our community. 25 does go back, if you remember our split revenues with Hockey Canada. The first 50,000, 12.5 to Fort St. John, 12.5 to Dawson Creek, and 25 to Hockey Canada. And the remaining money left was all left within our community. Okay, so as Ryan says, 5 months, 2 communities, 1 championship, and that's Lindsay's famous equal sign. Famous equal sign. 5.9 economic impact. Okay, that's it.
So awesome.
Thank you, guys. Questions? Anyone? Comments?
Great job.
Yeah, so, we look back to this coming forward to us, I think, in June, July of last summer. We're going to put this event on in November. It's going to cost each of us a commitment of $100,000 to host it jointly, and then away we go. And certainly, having experienced that week or 10 days in our community, and I think to me the surprise was the community pride that people felt in our community about demonstrating we could pull off a world-class event like this in our community. And so you see the effort that went in by Barry and Dick and Ryan and Dave and all the folks. You can't name them all in terms of the folks who spent day and night trying to ensure that this was pulled off on in the best and highest class way possible. And so, today we see the impacts to our community, obviously, and the economic impacts of, 15 days of you seeing those people from Sweden and Finland and the U.S. and they're living in our hotels and in our restaurants and in the mall. And I had a conversation one day with the guy, Scott Walker, the coach, and I went and introduced myself to the coaches, and he said to me, kind of stuck with me, he said, I've been to 7 or 8 of these world championships as a player and coach, and he said, I have never been treated as good as I have been in your community, right from nuts to bolts, right from the folks at Walmart when we're in there shopping throughout your community, to the event, to the staff, to the public. He said, it's been, you guys should be really proud of yourselves. And so to me, the benefits of your community and putting your best foot forward and the pride in our community was so amazing to me. And then we see the impact to our community and the benefits to it, right, in terms of the economic impacts to our community, the benefits to our kids in the youth sports, our community groups today, seeing the benefits to it. But to me, the benefits are the long term, and you celebrate today about what we accomplished, what we achieved in this, and now you say, now next we get to do and go, because we've demonstrated the ability to be a world-class event community. And I think that you talk about it, that experience, that ability of our community and our residents and the staff at the event center and within our community really set us up for now the future. And I think it was an amazing experience, and really congratulate everybody that was involved in it and celebrate the fact that I know how much passion it took from a whole bunch of people to be able to make this happen. And for us at the council, by saying, yeah, we can do this, but it's always cool when you get to say, we can do this, knowing it's going to be you guys that do it. So a real thank you to Barry, Ryan, Dave, Dick, all the committee chairs, the staff at the event center. I know I see lots of them here today, and I know Ryan makes the comment, right, 14 events. It's like having 14 concerts in the space of 10 days of what it was like, and pulling that off, and the amount of effort and work and churn that went through to try to pull it off. So we just celebrate the fact we got this facility and this ability to do this, and so heartfelt to all of you guys. Thank you so much, because our community groups, I see Marilyn here and Brenda, and community groups that get a little thank you and a little bit of a financial benefit as a result of this, and the long term in terms of those things. So I really appreciate, first of all, council's go to say we're going to support this, and now to see the economic benefits and the long-term impact. So we really appreciate it, and sincerely to the organizing committees for both Dawson Creek and Fort St. John. We don't do it without both communities doing it, setting a record for attendance and ticket sales and all that. So great job, great job. I have one little bit of news, and I'm going to bring it up under Mayor's business. A little bit of sad news today that a longtime hockey personality in our community passed away. Our old friend Stu Minifee. So Stu's, they've got the plans for his funeral set, and they would like to have made a request if they could use the arena on March 26th. Charlie?
So move.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. So, yeah, sad day for our hockey community. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hate to end on a sad note for Stewie today, and it shouldn't be, but I appreciate you guys coming in, and again, a great job. Thank you. Motion to adjourn? Thank you. Moved, Schumann, seconded Wilbur. All in favor? Thank you.